Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. To you I say shalom. This is the brother Yeshaya from the Great Millstone Charlotte Camp, coming at you again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And Lord willing, this be an edifying lesson. Not sure what I'm exactly entitled it. Something along the lines of even Esau knows that he's a devil, because I got this video. Um, Not sure how old this video is, but I seen it on YouTube, right? But for some reason, I don't know. I'm guessing YouTube is already you know, clipping videos and taking videos down, because I had it saved in one of my folders in YouTube or whatever. One of my like liked, or what I'm saying, uh, 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 save for later or watch later sections. But they ended up taking it out. Like, even in my history, I couldn't even find it. So I ended up going to TikTok and actually downloading this video, and pretty much this guy goes in. This guy goes in on his own uh, people. Particularly the British and the in America, or the Americans, right? So I'm gonna play this video and I'm gonna get some precepts, right? Um, so yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into this thing.
When I look at my own country, the United States, it is a semi-democratic, white-dominated, hierarchical, racist society that aims to preserve privilege by the elites. That's how it was formed in 1787. It was a slave-owning, genocidal country, killing Native Americans for a white culture. But amazingly, it still looks that way, although we're much more diverse now than we were. The most violent country in the world in the 19th century, by far, was perhaps the most democratic, or second most democratic, and that was Britain. You can be democratic at home and ruthlessly imperial abroad. The most violent country in the world since 1950 has been the United States. It's been by far involved
Jeffrey,
in more,
stop
wait,
now.
in more wars.
Jeffrey, Jeffrey, I'm your moderator, and it's enough.
Right, so you saw that, right? They try to cut him off, or they did cut him off. He was speaking too much. You know, See, but that just shows you that even Esau knows what they do. Esau knows that he's a devil, man. Right? When you look at history and you look at this man's track record, the scriptures say it in Job 9:24, right? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not him, then who is it? Right? As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and get that. I think I misquoted it. Job 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Right? So who's the wicked if it's not him? Right? Because in this precept, when it says he covers the faces of the judges thereof, this man has defaced all the true depictions of the Lord, of being, dark skinned, so-called black, and painted him in his likeness as being so-called white. So this man has blasphemed the Lord, the Most High, the Lord, Yahweh Shai, the angels, right? He even portrays the true people of the Lord to be so-called white, to be him. right? But the earth was given into his hands, as it says in Job 9:24 in the beginning, right? The earth is given into his hands. So who else has had the power to act in this manner or in this fashion with no repercussions so far? Because uh, uh, um, what they call it, um, well, I guess I'll just say repercussions, because there's a word I was thinking of, but it doesn't come to mind right now. Um, but yeah, the repercussions is coming. Judgment is coming. You know, here it is. Esau has gone around the world acting like his shit don't stink, right? Portraying himself as being, an angel of light, right? And kind of find out when you look at his track record, this man has committed so many atrocities all around the planet, genocided the people of the Lord, going around taking lands, stealing everything. Everything he got was through rape, robbery, and murder. I mean, that man said it himself. Let me go ahead and play this again, because this is heavy, what this man is saying.
When I look at my own country, the United States, it is a semi-democratic, white-dominated, hierarchical, racist society that aims to preserve privilege by the elites. That's how it was formed in 1787. It was a slave-owning, genocidal country, killing Native Americans for a white culture. But amazingly, it still looks that way, although we're much more diverse now than we were. The most violent country in the world in the 19th century, by far, was perhaps the most democratic or second most democratic, and that was Britain. You can be democratic at home and ruthlessly imperial abroad. The most violent country in the world since 1950 has been the United States. It's been by far involved
Jeffrey,
in more,
stop
wait,
now.
in more wars.
Let's Jeffrey, I'm Jeffrey, I'm your moderator, and it's enough.
So when you read in Revelation 6:4, let me read it real quick. Revelation 6 and verse 4, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. So this red horse is talking about Esau, Edom, right? The British Empire, right? Well, in modern day, right? The British Empire, the American Empire, but back then it was the Roman Empire, right? So this is that red horse. Rome is just, America is just Rome all over again, right? It's a revitalization of, that system, new and improved, you see? But it says, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him to take peace from the earth, you see? And that's what he did. He took peace from the earth. This man was going into it, how they were the most violent, democratic nation on the planet. He went into the British Empire, right? And their hypocrisy, how they were democratic, but then there'll be I forgot what that term he used. Damn, I lost it. Imperial, right? They'll be imperial like, and going around conquering and taking over lands and just stealing everything. And the same thing with America. After the 1940s, 1950s, America became, even before then, since the inception of America, he mentions how they slaughtered all the Native Americans, right, to create their white society. Like I said, just the history speaks for itself, man. Ever since the inception of America, it's been founded on the bloodshed and genocide and slavery of the Israelites, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. You see? So there's a reckoning. That's the word I was looking for earlier. So there's a reckoning that's coming to America. That judgment is being prepared, right? And it starts with them being divided. It starts with them falling apart. You know, it speaks about that. The Bible speaks about that in Daniel's the second chapter, right? That dream that Nebuchadnezzar had. You know how the toes, you know, were part of iron and part clay, miry clay. They were partly strong and partly divided. You see, and the scriptures talk about that kingdom, you know, set against itself, roughly paraphrasing, cannot stand. So we see in this kingdom or queendom, Esau's reign, pretty much crumbling under his feet, right? But we're starting to see, you know, Second Thessalonians. Let me get that. Second Thessalonians, the second chapter, and verse 7. Pretty much Esau is being revealed. This man is starting to be found out. You know, there's an inquisition going on this man, where his history is being brought up, and it's a shameful spewing being brought out. You know, all his all the things that he gloried in and all the great achievements that he had in establishing this society, this empire, right, is all, you know, coming back to bite him in the ass. As a matter of fact, before I get this, let's get that in Habakkuk 2:16. It says, "Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned into thee, or unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory." Right? So let me read this back. "Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered." So this man is being uncovered. He's being revealed. All his dirty laundry is being, you know, just thrown out there. His own people is doing it. But it says, "The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be unto thee." Right now, the Most High is going to make him drink. That protection that he had, you know, from the time of Cain, well, that protection is being, you know, being lifted off of him. This man is starting to get touched. You know, when it talks about he is not in trouble as other men. Well, that time of him, you know, running around, you know, as if he, you know, can't be touched, can't be hurt, not being held accountable. All that is coming to an end, man. Everything that he has done, the scriptures talk about how the Most High requireth that which is past. So everything has been building up to this moment. But the Most High is going to bring swift judgment on this man, and there's nothing he can do to put it off. Right? The scripture talk about he's not going to be able to put this judgment off. He can lean onto his witchcraft, lean onto his the scripture talk about his as a matter of fact, let me just get it. Isaiah 47. Oh, sorry, 10. It says, For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, None seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, excuse me, thy wisdom and thy knowledge it hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Right, so that's in his mind, right? This man has for so long done wickedness, and it has benefited him, right? Like I mentioned, there's been, for lack of a better word, a protection, like a hedge was made around this man, so that way he can do what he did. But that hedge is being taken away. You see, but since that hedge was on him, this man has puffed himself up with that pride, thinking that no one can touch him, that no one's going to be able to take him down, that he has all the wisdom, all the knowledge, right? Even though all that shit that he claims to be wisdom and knowledge is really wickedness. But it says, continuing on in verse 11, therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off. You see? So all these things is going to come unto him. It says, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. So when you read this in the NLT in verse 11, it says, so disaster will overtake you, and you won't be able to charm it away. Calamity will fall upon you, and you won't be able to buy your way out. Exactly. A catastrophe will strike you suddenly, one for which you are not prepared. And Esau ain't prepared for what's coming to him, man. Physically, mentally, spiritually, he's unprepared. As the apostles always say, the Most High has him in a trick bag. He's dealing with these demons, tapping into AI, looking for answers, seeking for help, but not knowing that the left hand angels work for the Lord. So you being set up in the trap, that snare that you try and lay out, ultimately you're going to fall in it. But it says in verse 12, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, if so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. So the Most High is calling you out, hey, come with your shit, man. Bring everything you got. Come at me. Let's see if you'll be able to win. Right? But we know the answer to that. The answer is that he's not going to win. It's written that he's going to lose. But verse 13, thou art wearied with the multitude of thy counsels. Right? This man's getting tired. This man has a meeting and a think tank, goddamn, every other day, trying to figure out how to advance his new world order quickly, because he, pursuant to Revelation 12 and 12, he knows that he has a short time. He's seeing Jake wake up by droves. He's seeing the prophets out there, pretty much shaking the hand, right? Because this word has gone on to the gates of the nobles, so they hear what we're saying. They're hearing the rebuke of the Lord, because essentially we're the mouthpiece of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, and we're telling him that his kingdom is coming to an end. His time is up, right? So that's why he's having this man Donald Trump come with his Operation Warp Speed and trying to get things done quickly. Everything is moving fast, and it's really all the Lord is doing. He's making things, happen in a more rapid rate as far as prophecy. But it says, continuing on, let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Right? So Esau is tapping into his, his science, his witchcrafts, his left-hand priests, his AI, his technology. See? But none of this is going to help him. Right? So going back, Habakkuk 2 and verse 16, thou art filled with shame for glory, Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, right? And shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And now we're seeing everything that Esau has gloried in, the reason why he has this amount of wealth and the earth in his hands. We're seeing all that, the work that he has put in, pretty much all backfiring against him, because he didn't gain everything through just means. Everything that he has gotten was, like I mentioned, through rape, robbery, murder, through wickedness, through the exploitation of the people of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. That's what the scriptures talk about, that the Most High is coming. He's gonna plead for his people Israel. And when it talks about pleading, he's not gonna plead like beg. No, he's coming to, demand. He's coming to take. We talk about for the controversy of Zion, because you have touched the Lord, the apple of the Lord's eye. The Most High is he's gonna jack you up, right? Because if you have children, a man that has children, and he sees his children getting taken away into captivity or into slavery or whatever, what do you think he's going to do to the corporates, to those that are guilty of taking his children away and doing all manner of evil unto them? What do you think is going to happen to that man? How do you think that man, that the father is going to take this trespass, this offense? He's going to want blood. That's exactly the same way the Most High is. He's going to want blood. Scripture talk about I'm talking about the land. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Talking about how to cleanse the land, right? Let's see. Okay. Numbers 35. So this is how you cleanse the land, right? If somebody was murdered. But it says Numbers 35 and 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. You see? So the earth has to be cleansed, and the only way it's going to be cleansed is through shedding the blood of them that shed our blood, right? Which is you Edomites and the rest of the heathen, right? So let me go back. Right, Habakkuk 2 and 16. So we talked about the shameful spewing, right? And you saw in the video how that man tried to silence him at the end. He tried to silence him, like, yo, stop, that's enough. That's enough. Because ultimately what we're seeing is that, as it says in Psalm 64, let me get that. These Edomites, they a lot of them, they're just really, just crashing out. It's really the Spirit of the Lord that's, hopping on them to speak out against their own people. But what was I saying? But it's just funny, whenever we see these things, because again, like I mentioned how the title of the video is going to be. Even Esau knows that he's the devil. Like, they know that the devil, man. They know a lot of these elites that ain't really, well, not elites. They at least know that they're the devil, but a lot of these, lower guys, some of them might not essentially know that, but based off what they see and what they know throughout history, they understand that their people, their forefathers, really have left them in a bad situation to where their reputation is being questioned, and their history is really is becoming a shame unto them, right? But this is Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away, right? Their own tongue is falling upon themselves, right? Now, their own people are starting to condemn, you know, their own kingdom, speak out against it, like we saw in that video, that going into the history of all the evil that this man has done, and it's going to continue to rise. It's going to continue to amplify, because the scripture talk about it. There's going to be, you know, a civil war. So there's going to be those that's going to be against this whole. You know, you have those Edomites that are like, you know, trying to please the poor, trying to please, or trying to pretty much correct the wrongs that their forefathers did. But ultimately, you know, we understand that they're not really willing to give up all their riches and and submit to Jake. But you know, they're still, you know, speak out against the evils that their forefathers have done. But then you have those like the Maggers and, you know, the Proud Boys and all these guys that are pretty much they uplift. They're pretty much, they're tired of being ashamed of their history. Like they're proud of that history. You see, but as we've been saying, you know, this is turning into a shameful spewing, because the whole world is watching. The whole world is seeing that you Edomites, y'all never dealt justly. Y'all never dealt right. Right? Y'all over here bombing cities, taking people's lands, taking people's resources, all in the name of democracy or Christianity. Right? Because that's what Esau is coming with it now. You know, he's establishing a nationalist ideology through Christianity again. You know, to justify, you know, cleaning up the streets and, you know, getting Jake out of or deporting Jake out of here because they're criminals, they're savages, and all this and that, right? But this is again, this is the devil. This is we've been knowing how he works. The scripture talk about we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We know how this man operates. The scriptures laid it out of how this man thinks, how this man moves. That's why we always tell our people not to trust your enemy. Who are your enemies? Primarily Esau, Edom, but also these heathen nations. They all had a hand in your destruction, right? But I'm gonna close it up with this. Sirach. Well, let me go to the Apocrypha. Sirach 41 in verse 6. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for their sake. Right? And that's what we're seeing. Like I said, you have an amount of Edomites that feel that reproach, and they're speaking out against their own, you know, their own history, their own achievements, right? But like I said, you also have some that are in that mindset of, you know, fuck that. I'm proud of my forefathers. So that just shows, you know, there's a divide, you know, pretty much the way Americans are right now. they're very fragmented. There's no cohesiveness, So it's gonna be a beautiful thing to see this kingdom fall. We're seeing it right before our eyes how these Edomites are crashing out. These Americans are losing badly, and pretty much all Western societies right now is losing. So it's a beautiful thing, right? The Most High is raising up Yasha Allah, Israel, and bringing down the Edomites, right? But yeah, man, that was pretty much it. That was all I had. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and ruled well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Until the next time, I'm going to say Shalom, Kwam, Inshallah.